Once, in the rainforests of Brazil, there was a large troop of monkeys. And all day long, they'd play and play, join in now, play and play and play and play and play and play and play, until the sun went down and the monkeys climbed their tall palm trees. And then the clouds rolled in and it began to rain and rain and rain and rain and rain and rain and rain. And the monkeys were shivering, shivering, shivering. And one of the papa monkeys said, "Tomorrow we'll build a house. Tomorrow we'll build a house." And all the mama monkeys said, "Yes, we'll build a house. Yes, we'll build a house." And all the baby monkeys went, "Yeah, yeah, 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 yeah." Well, next morning, the sun came up, and it was a beautiful blue skies day. And the monkeys climbed down their tall palm trees, and they began to play and play and play, join in, play and play and play and play and play and play and play. Until one of the papa monkeys said, "Weren't we going to build a house today? A house today? Weren't we going to build a house today? A house today?" But all the mama monkeys went, "Oh, later for that. Oh, later for that." And instead of building the house, all they did that day was play and play and play and play and play and play and play. Until, join in, the sun came down and the monkeys climbed their tall palm trees. The clouds rolled in and it began to rain and rain and rain and rain and rain and rain and rain. And the monkeys were shivering, shivering, shivering. And one of the mama monkeys said, "Tomorrow we'll build a house. Tomorrow we'll build a house." And the papa monkey said, "Yes, we'll build a house. Yes, we'll build a house." And all the baby monkeys said, "Yeah, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah." They were shivering. Well, next morning, the sun came up and it was a beautiful blue skies day. The monkeys climbed down out of their tall palm trees and they began to, you got it, play and play and play and play and play and play and play. Until one of the mama monkeys said, "Weren't we going to build a house today? A house today?" And the papa monkeys went, "Oh, later for that. Oh, later for that." And instead of building a house that day, all they did was play and play and play and play and play and play and play. Now, do you think those monkeys ever built that house? No. And that's why they're called the tomorrow monkeys, because they always put off till tomorrow what they could have done today. Now, I'm sure you don't do that, do you? Or do you?
Why do we do the slave story again? Hear me out.
Should I change?
No, fuck it, go with it.
Yeah, costume, man. Fucking, what's the point of playing? You ready?
Social playlist one.
There were 9 dogs who went out hunting. They hunted for hours and hours and hours and never caught anything at all. And there was a lion who was out hunting at the same time. And the lion had an equal amount of success, none. The lion met the 9 dogs. And the lion said to the dogs, "Look, we've not been successful apart. Why don't we join together and hunt together? Perhaps we'll be more successful then." The dogs agreed. And together the 9 dogs and the lion caught 10 antelope. They were very successful. Well, when the day's hunting was done, the lion turned to the dogs and said, "We have a very difficult problem here. How do we divide the antelope that we have killed up. And the lead dog said, well, it isn't that complicated in my view. You see, there are 9 of us and you, that makes 10. And there are 10 antelope. Why don't we each take 1 antelope? The lion turned to the lead dog and with one of his giant paws lashed him, blinded him. Then the lion said, does anyone else have a better idea? Another of the dogs thought a moment and then said, yes, dear lion, I think I have just the solution. You see, there are 9 of us, and if we take 1 antelope, that will make 10. And there's 1 of you, and if you take 9 antelope, that will make 10 too. So, why don't you take 9 antelope, and we'll just take the 1? What do you think of that idea? The lion looked at the dog and said, yes, I think that is the most wise solution. Where did you come by such great wisdom? And the dog who had found the solution said, it came to me in a flash when you struck my brother dog. Okay, I'm going to address you this time. There was a blind man and a lame man, and there was a drought. And they lived in the same hut. Miraculously, one morning, they saw 3 huge birds, plump birds, sitting in the tree just to the edge of their yard. Blind man could hear the birds, and he called to lame man and said, look, get on my shoulders and I will carry you to where those birds are. Then you shoot them and we can cook them. So lame man agreed, climbed on blind man's shoulders, and lame man directed blind man to exactly where he needed to stand in order that they could shoot those birds. He stood in the right place, lame man on blind man's shoulders, shot the birds. Birds fell down, they were ready for cooking. At this point, lame man said, okay, you wait there. This is cooking very dangerous, of course, for you, blind man. I will cook the bird and I'll call you when it's ready. So, lame man lit the fire, got the bird in the pot, cooked it up, cooked it and cooked it and cooked it, and decided just to taste it to see, when it was ready. They hadn't eaten for so long. Lame man couldn't resist eating just a little bit of the bird. And you know what it's like once you start eating something, you can't stop. So he ate and ate and ate and ate until all that was left of this bird was a set of bones and some very, very weak soup. At this point, he called over to blind man and said, okay, it's ready now. Come and have the soup. Blind man sat there, was guided to, with his hands were guided to the pot. He reached in with his spoon and found there was nothing there but bones and watery soup, and said, what is this? What is this? How come you've eaten up all the soup? Where's all the bird meat gone? This isn't fair. And lame man said, well, look, blind man, you would never have been able to shoot the birds, would you? It was I who did all the work. You should be grateful to be having these bones and watery soup. And blind man said, what are you talking about? You could never have reached to where the bird were in the tree. It was on my shoulders that you rested when you shot those birds. It should have been me who had eaten most, if not all, of this stew. And they set about beating each other up in rage. Eventually the village elders heard about it, managed to haul them apart, and they called a council, a court, to decide who was in the wrong and who was in the right. The question I ask you is, who do you think should have had all or most of that soup? Blind man or lame man?